Good morning, warriors. It is February 9th, 2022. Hope everyone is doing well on their journey. I'm going to move my thing over a little bit here. Very good, very good. And hope you guys are doing well today. So it is a little warmer this morning in the Midwest, at least where I'm at over here. And hopefully we can kind of get more things done. And it's not so windy and cold. So hope you guys are doing well. This is another great day on our journey, and I think I'm at 615 or something like that overall, and 150, close to 150 with monk mode. So we're doing fine. Subscriptions up. Thank you for all of those. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the likes, all those type of things. Our job is basically just to kind of provide you information. I had a couple of great comments yesterday from Alan Tanner, which I'm going to kind of talk about a little bit. Also, Abductology, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, also sent me a question on nocturnal emission, so we'll talk about that a little bit too. So let's kind of talk about that one first. So I have done a couple in the past. I think one was called Nightfall, all those type of things. So Abductology, because I'm older, I tend to not have that type of experiences like I did when I was younger, and so I don't have them as much. The one thing I can tell you, bud, is that when I sense myself thinking about those things, now we're talking about when you're dreaming. This is all happening when you're sleeping. So when you're dreaming and thinking about those type of things, I am trying to, and this doesn't work every time, but I'm trying to program myself into the point that I go back to the goals before I go to bed. So right before I go to bed, I try to focus on the 3 areas of goals. And I think I mentioned these before in talking about the financial goals, the physical goals, and the spiritual goals. And so those 2, I always make an effort, no matter how tired I am, is to try to think of those concepts and focus on them. And one thing with retention is that the focus is better. You know, your focus is a lot stronger, so you're able to zone in on that. So in order to do that, I do that. One of the reasons I do that is because I know there's always chances, because of all my years, at 40-some years, I think it's 45 years actually, of going back and forth and having all these different thoughts that will come back to you. I mean, they come back to you because I fully believe your mind never loses these ideas. What ends up happening is that they're there somewhere in your brain, and they come out at certain periods of time. You remember something from deja vu from the past, or something happens, and you're always hearing that and seeing that. So it is important to look at this and kind of say, okay, how do I control this? So I think Abductology, you make a good question. I'm not sure how old you are, but if you're younger, you're in your 20s and 30, you're gonna see a lot of that. And I had a lot of that when I was younger. You know, and it's a struggle because, see, but once again, it's a different lifestyle. If you're not thinking about it, you may get caught once in a while thinking about it. But because you're building a habit, in my case, you know, over a year and a half of trying to not think about it, and so it's getting better with these situations. And I'm pushing my thing a little bit forward. So it's getting better in these type of situations, and I think that's the key to it. I think that I also, when people talked about this before, they're asking me, well, do you lose energy? Well, you lose energy, but I don't believe it's the same type of situation as you do when you normally do it purposely. And what I mean by that is I think there's excess, and that may be what's going off. You know, you're losing your excess energy because of that. It's not something that you're doing purposely, and so now you're feeling something with it. Even at times when I was younger and I went through these type of situations, I did not feel the same, because it happened at night and I just, you know, I didn't realize it, or it's something I dreamed about it or something like that. So I think that the situation is that it is different. As we got a police car going by here, it is different in talking about this and really kind of focusing on that type of situation. I don't lose my thing here, but so it's a good question. Abductology asked, and I believe that it is something that we can continue to kind of focus on, because I have a sense, and listening to some of the viewers, that you guys have some trouble with it. So I'm happy to kind of help in my regard. I think at my point, the only advice that I could give you with it is to kind of stay away from those type of thoughts as close to time you go to sleep as you can, and then kind of refocus those type of things on when you get up. So always thinking your goals. I have my goals written on cards, so I see those as well, and so I basically kind of have those type of things set up so that late at night, early in the morning, I see those, and along with prayer and meditation, I keep focusing on the goals. And so the more I focus on the goals, the more I'm keeping all those past thoughts back in the back of my brain, so it's not something that's going to affect me right now. And slowly but surely, I kind of try to make them a minute part of my life now. And they were important for 45 years, but I have a whole new type of lifestyle now. So that's why I say that it's something that you want to try to think about before you go to bed consciously. There's not too much you can do obviously in your dreams and things about that, but what you can do is try to live each day. And I go monk mode because to me that's the only way to do it. Going as hard as you can and not think about those type of things, and hopefully that'll help you at night as well. So hopefully I kind of gave you a little bit of my viewpoint on Abductology. I appreciate your comment, and thank you for that. So let me switch over to Alan a little bit. Alan had a nice comment. My phone's starting to move around a little bit. Alan had an interesting comment talking about how difficult it is to kind of be that lone voice about this stuff, and that it's very difficult. You almost kind of feel like an evangelist and talking to people, and they don't really know what you're talking about, and it's not the common philosophy, so people kind of look at you as an oddball, absurd, and those type of things, and abnormal and things like that. Well, I think that Alan, you make obviously very good points. This is why we're called the 1% Club. I hope it's getting a little bit higher, but there's 99% of us out there that don't really believe or understand or want to accept what we're saying. I think this is the problem, especially with the Western world. Eastern world may be a little bit different, but this is why even the great wise people in the East were people that the Western people didn't really follow or care that much about, except those individuals who are really seeking out the truth and trying to kind of get to the point where they're actually making their life better. This is the type of thing that I think is important to me, and I know those viewers who are on in this club think the same way. And so but Alan, you're exactly right. It was the same thing when I really became strong in religion. There's a lot of people out there that don't believe in that either. They don't believe in a lot of the type of thing, meditation. They don't believe in yoga or anything else like that. I think it is difficult. It is difficult. But let me say a few things about why I'm doing what I'm doing now. I think certainly I could have stayed more in the background. I could have just kind of hid and say, okay, I'll do this myself. I found this great secret. I found this thing that I think is great beneficially, and I think, well, maybe I'll just kind of keep it to myself and I won't share it with anybody. And so that's something that always crosses everyone's mind when doing this, because why would you put yourself out there? And who knows, people, if I end up getting any kind of strikes on YouTube or any kind of other things because of it, who knows, what happens. And some people just don't agree, or they don't want to agree, they don't want to accept the truth, and they have what they call cognitive dissonance, where they don't believe it no matter what you say. And we're having a world like this right now. People are living what I call in this blue matrix, and until they get red pilled into a red matrix, they're not going to believe any of this stuff. They don't have any kind of sense for it. They think it's all, quote, conspiracy theory. The funny thing to me is conspiracy theory was an idea thought about back in the CIA, because of the old days where there was always these ideas about who killed John F. Kennedy. And so and I grew up that little time, at least a young person in the 60s. And so I remember hearing all those things, and a lot of times, there is a lot of truth to those type of things, and how much truth there is just depends. But the bottom line really is that you have to stand out by yourself to actually start believing those things, and a lot of people are afraid to do that. So Alan, I'm with you 100%. I think that there's a lot of people who will look at you being crazy. But the reason I do this is the same reason I start teaching for 40 years, 30 years, 37, 40 years, public speaking. Because I was very, very shy when I was younger. And I said to myself, well, I know there's a lot of people who feel the same pain, and a lot of people that feel, bad because of this thing, and they can't overcome this. And so I want to try to help them as much as I can. So it's the same thing with any kind of addiction. People who go into, they're alcoholics, they go back and try to help people with AA at some point, or drugs if they feel like it. A lot of people tend to want to kind of give back, and people have kind of helped me, kind of see a lot of these type of truths over the years, and it's helped being mentors and things like that. So I want to help them as well. And so I think we're at the point where you look and say, okay, I can either choose to be on the sidelines, or I can choose to go ahead and try to provide information. But Alan, I'm with you. I think it's very difficult when you present these ideas. I had that situation a couple weekends ago where people came over to the house, and I was telling them about it, and they just kind of poo-pooed it. Right? They basically did not want to. They had no acceptance of it whatsoever. They thought it was just kind of comical and things like that. So you're gonna have people who'll never believe. And so what you have to do in many regards is to kind of be an example. And so in this sense, I think, Alan, you're exactly right. You have to make sure that you make the changes yourself, and eventually you'll see that those are beneficial to you, and then hopefully you set an example by who you are to people around you, and it kind of goes from there. And that's kind of that's the kind of way that at least I look at the situation. So it is not easy, right? And that's why we're part of the 1% Club, because many people don't believe in the things that we're talking about. Now, I'm hoping that it grows and grows, so you get a little more people listening and understanding. But it is a very difficult type concept, and even if you understand the concept, it's difficult. Trying to practice brahmacharya and celibacy and Sufism, you have to kind of take on a whole new thing. I don't put things in my body unless I, have an understanding that it's not going to hurt me, or it's not going to stop me in certain ways, and my body is becoming a lot more in tune with it. I think a lot of it's because I have my energy back and nutrition, so my nutrients, so I can actually kind of focus on it better. And so I take more of an interest in putting things in. So I don't use fluoride toothpaste. I take cold showers. I do the opposite of a lot of people are doing. So I try to look at it. Now, whether that's going to, make me live a longer life, who knows? I think there's probably a lot of things involved in that. But I do know one thing, my friends. I do know that I feel 100% better than I did even 2 years ago. And certainly a lot better than I did, about 20 years ago, when I started a lot of these type of things with the Fountain of Youth and things like that. Because I was kind of in a very bad situation, and physically I was run down, stress level was really high, a lot of these type of things that, a doctor I don't think thought I was going to have a heart attack by I was 50 years old or something. And I had to find some things to go back and become more tranquil and go within myself. And so that led to the Fountain of Youth stuff. Exercises are wonderful, but in order to become a superhuman person, you have to go ahead and use the celibacy or retention, which is the right number 6 in that book, which took me about an extra, I would say, 15, 17 years to do. And then finally I decided, okay, I'm doing it. That's it. And so that's kind of where I'm at this point in time. And I can't tell you how life-changing it is. With all the stuff that's going on around us, all the stress levels, all the things people, the way they look at me because I'm making decisions, like I said, not to put anything in my body and things like that, you're going to get a lot of stress in a lot of different situations. But again, I feel better because I have the things inside of me, my energy level, my nutrients. I don't really feel that things are going to get to me eventually. Things are all going to work out, and I become a lot closer to God, and I feel that very strongly. So I think that we all have to kind of make decisions on ourselves, but you can't, going back to Alan's point, you can't make you can take the horse to the water, right? But you can't make the horse drink the water. No matter what I say to our viewers or people out there, you're not going to do this unless you want to do this. And I realized that because I was the same way. I would listen to people, and until I could figure out how to do it and mentally and physically do it and really want to do it, that's the problem. And I think the book even talks about this, Kendler's book, in The Fountain of Youth. You have to want to do it. If you don't want to change your life style, then you're not going to do it no matter what. And so you have to go into a burning intention to do this. And how many people really are in that type of situation? The 1% are. We understand and learn this, but what about the other 90%, 99% of people in the world? They're not in that situation. And they may enjoy in their thoughts of how they are not realizing the benefits of this. I always remember the situation where it was an experiment, and this was with flies, but it also can apply to people. I know they've done this in different types of housing situations where people were conditioned. I give you the I think it's the firefly one. They stuck a bunch of fireflies in a jar, and they put the lid on, and the lid blocked the fireflies from getting out. And after a while, they got used to that, and then they took the lid off the jar, and surprisingly, none of the fireflies flew out. They were so conditioned to stay in that jar now that they didn't do it. And human beings have that ability not to think and to go ahead and just react. And people are the same way with housing. Sometimes they get into housing situations where even though the house is falling down, they rather stay in the house, and I've seen this before, than to go ahead and move to a new house because they're more comfortable with the old house. And I think here again, you go back to how people are conditioned. So it's not a matter a lot of times of people really using their brains to think. A lot of times they're being conditioned and not even realizing it. And so as Alan was talking about, brainwashing is something that you see that a lot of people have. They don't realize it even. Once they realize they've been, fooled, well, then they get upset. But a lot of times, they're for whatever reason trusting, people telling them that, okay, well, you got to keep losing energy 3-4 times a day, and that's okay. They just don't see that because they can't see that jar. They still are being blocked in their minds, at least, by the jar top that is above them. So I think this is what makes situations very difficult for people because they're still caught up in that same mentality. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. You guys have a great day. Once again, this is February 9th, 2022. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and battle on.